I'm Arun Malhotra and I welcome you to ETAuto Unplugged. The show of the auto industry in which get industry leaders to discuss on diverse topics of the auto industry. The topic for today is premiumization of the mass market. In the Indian auto industry in 1983, we used to sell 40,000 vehicles, which has gone up to 4 million. The numbers have increased, but the way the industry has panned out is very different. And premiumization is the motto of the day, or is it the flavor of the day? And on this topic, there is nobody else better than Mr. Tarun Garg, Chief Operating Officer, Hyundai Motors, to discuss on this topic. Welcome, Tarun, to the show.
Thank you so much, Arun.
So, Tarun, before we get to the topic, we see you in media, we see you in various fashion shows, launches, other things, but we want to understand the real Tarun. And to understand the real Tarun, we would like to take you back from your school days, from your college days. What you were, what were your dreams, aspirations, what were your interests, and how did it all move ahead?
Yeah, so interesting. I was born in Delhi, and like everybody, my aspiration those days was only to make my father happy. And the life only revolved around that. My father was a mathematician, but he wanted me to be a doctor. So I said, yeah, I have to be a doctor. But then I was good in data, I was good in mathematics, obvious reasons. Couldn't get through so many medical entrances. So So I by default, I had to do my engineering. And of course, then I did my business school. And here I am. So you don't know what lies in destiny. So I would not say a very interesting childhood. I would say that yes, but as destiny would have it, today I'm here sitting with you discussing the auto industry.
So one thing, beyond your studies, what were the other things you were interested in during your school days and college days?
So I was very, very fond of cricket. In fact, I used to really love batting, and I was a part of my school cricket team. And and of course I followed cricket. I remember those days, even when West Indies was playing Pakistan, and BBC was telecasting, and I would be probably putting a blanket, so that nobody could see me, and try to have those AM, because you have to have an antenna to really get the signal. But I was crazy about cricket, and even till date I follow my passion. Yeah.
So, one very interesting thing Tarun said, and this is true for the generation that time, people worked hard to make their parents happy. And I remember a famous song of Kyamat Se Kyamat Tak, Papa Kehte Hai Bada Naam Karega.
Absolutely.
I think that was the spirit of that time. That's why that song also got very popular.
Absolutely, absolutely. At the same time, I think the whole idea was to really make you dream something and make you really realize that nothing is easy and have an aim and go for it. I think the process was very important. So while I could not meet my father's aspiration by not becoming a doctor, but at the same time, the diligence was there and that passion to, yes, this is my aim and I have to achieve it. I think that was the biggest learning, and that is where I believe a lot of success has come in. And so everything has a very, very positive side to it.
But a lot of hard work, determination, drive.
Look, nothing can really match the hard work. Of course, I've seen so many talented people, but attitude and discipline. I think these are two things which probably can get you success. And unfortunately, many times I see that so many brilliant people, because of the attitude or because of the tendency to take it easy, somehow lose their way.
That's great. So, you started, straight from college, and you passed out from IIM Lucknow, and straight you came into the auto industry.
Yeah.
And what I understand, you went through various functions. And some of them were not very glamorous functions.
Right.
So what is your learning from those various diverse functions you handled?
Look, when I passed out from IIM Lucknow and I was hoping to handle a brand, I was joining a biggest auto company, and then here I was handed an assignment of logistics. So I thought that dispatch, world had fallen apart. But then, frankly speaking, the learning I had, because those were times when there was a waiting period of 2 years, which meant there was an allocation system. So I could learn that. I was in touch with, all the dealers in the country. So there was a lot of basic fundamentals of invoicing, taxation. I think till date, I believe that was a great period. So what I mean is that opportunity can come through any door. Today I see, when I suppose give a posting to somebody, no sir, this is not glamorous, what will I do, blah blah blah. I think we have to, everywhere there can be a learning, and you don't know in what way opportunity could come. And probably, in 4 years of logistics, not only did I learn so much, at the same time, like I said, I was able to really outshine and get noticed. And when you get noticed so early in the career, what happens is the balanced career becomes much easier.
So it's building a brand. You're building a personal brand starts from day one.
Absolutely.
It doesn't happen at the senior level.
Absolutely.
It happens right from day one. That's
Absolutely.
what I get. Now looking at this, that was a time also when this whole concept of motorization was there. Mass market, giving people wings to their dreams. First time owning a four-wheeler. What was it like at that point of time? Just to take a scenario in terms of product, in terms of mindset, for the customers, dealers, or the companies even.
Look, frankly, that was a time it looks like a dream because people were only wanting four wheels. It was all about moving from A to B, and somehow I could get a car. And I still remember people will, once the delivery will happen after 2 years of your booking your car, people will come with a box of sweets, and they'll pay maybe 100 rupees to a salesman at the showroom also. And it was a totally different ballgame altogether. So there was no aspiration, or aspiration was only to get a car. And there was not much choice as well. So it was all about somehow getting it, and then of course you were the cynosure of all eyes. Now I think functionality has really gone out of the window, if I may use the term. Things have really moved because today you see the car as a reflection of yourself. Exactly. Aspiration has taken precedence, and there are so many other things which you want the car to do in addition to moving you from point A to point B. I would say point A to point B is probably a hygiene. But there are 90%, there are other things attached to it.
At that time also you had products with number of variants in the model, plus there were number of models at different price points. What reflected higher end model or a premiumness? What was the definition at that time?
Air conditioning. So
air conditioning.
Because we are talking about early 90s, there were not too many people with air conditioners at home. So air conditioner in car provided you with that kind of a show off. Okay, my friend, I have an air-conditioned car, and when you'll put it on, oh my God, it's so cool in a literal sense of the way. So that was the biggest aspiration. Then I remember when power steering came in, and the Zing became so popular. There's a Santro Zing, oh my God. So that was the aspiration. So, it depends. It depends because air conditioning was something which was really not available, so that became an aspiration. Power steering was something which nobody had tasted, it became an aspiration. So, of course, when we come to today, yeah. So things change. I'll tell you, seat cover. In fact, there was a model called TK. There was seat cover. Seat cover was an aspiration. Oh my God, it's a factory fitted seat cover. That was an aspiration. So I think as India as a country has evolved, people's choices have evolved, and that has been reflected in the car choices, in the accessories choices, in the features choices, and also in the trims. Because it was all, like I said, 80% was non-AC cars that time. 20% were AC, and that 20% also limited primarily to southern areas, western areas. North was all about non-AC car, basic car, and a white car as such. Color itself is an aspiration. I'll tell you, 70%, 75% of the cars were white. Today, when I launched the Exter, 35% is khaki green. So I think this is also a big transformation. Because white meant that lowest maintenance, it cannot get, thieves will not steal it, and it really served the purpose. Today, no, even the color is a reflection of my personality. So I think we have really moved a long way.
So if you look at that market at that time, purchasing power, a lot of people say the purchasing power was less. But was it a purchasing power issue? Was it a mindset issue? Or was it an availability issue?
So I would say that it was a mixture of all three, and probably I cannot really put an eye, okay, this should be number one, number two, number three. Purchasing power, obviously, you are talking about the time when the disposable income was very low, and people were really struggling. Per capita income was low. As a country, we had not really seen globalization. So it was much more of a very, very conservative market. Availability, I already told you, there were very few manufacturers. Capacity, everything was driven by capacity. Okay, today I have a car, that is, you're the king. So I think it's a mixture of everything, and there was no aspiration. And like I said, aspiration was only to move from point A to point B and somehow get a car. So things have really changed. Now you have a plethora of choices. And
so I remember you were one of the youngest regional managers in Maruti Suzuki, and UP was a tough state. First of all, it was a hardcore two-wheeler state.
Right.
It was not a four-wheeler state. And I'm sure you would have gone out to various parts of UP, Western UP. What are any 2-3 incidents which strike you? Because you still moved from Delhi to UP. I mean, you were Delhi, Gurgaon, but you went to UP.
Look, I think,
and you must have travelled to those Bhadoi and this Ghazipur, Saidpur and all these areas.
Yeah.
So
So
how
I
was it?
think,
Any 2 or 3 interesting which gives
frankly
you a perspective
speaking,
of
yeah,
that
yeah.
India?
So 2001 to 2005 was the time when I was the regional manager. If you remember, the 2000 was a very bad time. There's a dot-com bust which had happened, and frankly speaking, I was very lucky that I was not in a market like Delhi and Mumbai because those were really struggling, and these were the markets like Lucknow and all where rural was really coming up. So one big thing was that, India was not only about Delhi, Mumbai's and Bangalore's of the world. You know, we could really go, and there was so much of, because the agriculture was really booming, and we were able to develop those kind of markets. In fact, I remember, because the country was evolving, and if you would remember, in fact, a person from Lucknow won the Best Salesman Award All India.
I remember that
It
distinctly.
became a national news in that company because till then it was all about Kerala or Mumbai and Delhi who won the award. But somebody from Lucknow winning it, that showed that, you were really getting into the groove. You were really, aspirations were coming in where the tier 2, tier 3 were really wanting, I mean, good people were there who had the skill set and who were really developing the market. And the growth was booming there. And again, like I said, you were noticed because other markets were struggling. So that was one. The second was all this thing about dangers of traveling, because you had to travel by road. The rail system was not good. The flights were very limited. So you had to travel long distances by car, which meant that you could get to the ground level and really know the market. The second was also those dangers associated because, in the night at 7 p.m., and even there's a basic hotel, you'll go there and stay. You did not have an aspiration for a 5-star hotel or something like that. But I think that those learnings of those years, and it was all about team because the technology was not there. Information sharing was all in person, or mobile phones were just really coming in. It was still very expensive. So what my point is, of course, there's a big human angle to it because it was all about really gathering those people, celebrating those small moments. But the real India was emerging. Today we take pride in saying Bharat and India. I think that time there was only one Bharat or one India, but very clearly that it was really coming out and it was really becoming a big mainstream because the road infrastructure, the incomes increasing. I think it was a very interesting time.
So, moving out of Delhi, okay, tough, challenging assignments in Delhi, lived in good middle class value systems. But any two things you remember here, your myths or your conceptions which were there, which were based on Delhi, which were broken there?
Oh, no.
Of mass market.
Frankly speaking, I'll give you an example, and I don't want to name the brand names, but I could see that, frankly speaking, and don't get me wrong, in markets like Delhi and Mumbai and all, everybody is very evolved. So when you're evolved, you also have, I know everything. But when you go to a smaller market, you find that people are much more conservative. At the same time, you can complement many of those things. Like I'm giving an example of a dealer. So he wants to do, but he does not know how to do. So there is so much easy because you can complement his efforts. Whereas here, probably in a bigger market, maybe sometimes you will spend 80% of time in explaining why it needs to be done. So one very good thing was that the acceptability of the team was much higher. I think number two, you had so much of time because it would take 10 minutes from you to reach from your office to home. So which meant you had so much of time. There was a lot of community building. So I think those things were very important. Number three, because I was in a manufacturer where smaller cars were very good, so the impact you could make in terms of volume, I think was huge. And you were the market leader. You could really, there was nobody second, and anything you could do would have a multiplier effect. So I think those are the things which were very difficult to do in a much more competitive, Delhi Mumbai market. So sometimes, like I said, less competition is better because then you have the whole play and you can do.
So one thing which you say is, sometimes we get bogged down by market share. There's a thing called opportunity share.
Absolutely.
And sometimes we miss the woods from the trees in the opportunity share. Now, one thing which a lot of people say, and I'd like your perspective on it, that one of the reasons of mass market was there was a general sense of conservatism. In those days there was a slogan, simple living, high thinking.
Right.
So when do you think that started changing? A lot of people had money.
Right.
If they could afford a car, they went on a two-wheeler. If they could take a taxi, they went on a three-wheeler. If they went on a three-wheeler, they went on a bus. So when do you think that started changing?
Actually, if you see, when all these international models started coming in with all these, crazy features, if I may use, I think the people thought that yes, there was a world beyond just four wheels. I can say that i20 launch was one of the very big changes, because that really changed the perception of, oh my God, a car, a small car, but a big change. Similarly, I would say, if I talk about Hyundai, a Creta change, 2015, or 2019, a Venue change. And today, if I see, so you can't say that, okay, this is a point which is changed. I think there were various phases where a big change happened in terms of people really looking beyond the four wheels and saying that, okay, I need this car not because I need it for a functional use. I need this car because this is a reflection of my own identity, because this is how I want to be seen as by others. This is where I would probably go with my girlfriend. Not with my family only, but I'm okay to go with a girlfriend. As a first-time buyer, still I would jump. I will so-called jump the hierarchy and straight away go there. I think those were the changes which were happening, and both stereo system. Today, when I see my child or now they're 25, and they say, Bose stereo system, I'll buy a car just because of a Bose stereo system. Or today I talk about a sunroof. In a climate like India, 75% of my extra sales are now sunroof sales. Who would say that, okay, sunroof, logically speaking, why do you need a sunroof? It is all aspiration. So my point is, because sunroof gives you that kind of an aspiration, functionality will come later. In fact, my research shows that last 6-8 months, people are finding usage of sunroof as well. Because now they find a car looks much bigger in the night when you can see the stars. So those things are also happening. But it started with aspiration only, because I don't think you can really use the sunroof as such.
So, aspiration to understand from a younger person is logical. But at that time, I say 15 years back, the buyer was still slightly older. Right. So they've been fed on this diet of being conservative, save your money, don't waste. Do you think they also changed their mind, or it was only younger generation changed their mind?
Two things have happened. So one is the actual buyer. Like for example, in my case, in 4 years, less than 30 years has doubled from 15% to 28%. Secondly, I think the influencer. Because today, even if as a father, 45-year-old, you're buying a car, you want to take advice from your son. Totally. I think that is also something which is happening. So the son would say, no, I want connectivity, I want my Blue Link, I want my sunroof, I want this. So family is having a much more important decision on the.
Also the women in the family?
Women definitely, yes. Users of women are increasing, and now today women specific things, like women would want more colored cars, women would want more safer cars, women would want more design. They are not interested in so much in fuel efficiency, but they are really more interested in design. I think key buying decision has really moved away from a fuel efficiency kitna deti hai to today. External design is the number one factor. Safety is the a very important factor. So I think those things have taken a precedence over only the functionality.
So functionality and fuel efficiency to something
design,
which is design,
safety
features
and features. Okay, let me give you another example. It was all about, in fact, why do you go so much back? 5 years back, you see how many cars in India were priced at 999. I think this is a very typical example. 999, 999, Bata pricing. Today, hardly any cars are priced at 999 because you don't need that price, because you know that the customer will buy the higher variant. So base variant earlier used to contribute 30% to the sales. Today base variant contributes 5% to the sales. Highest variant today earlier used to contribute less than 5% to the sales. Today top variants are contributing 20-25% to your sales. So earlier it was all about let me go to the next segment and buy the base in there. So suppose I have a budget of, I'll give you an example. Suppose I have a budget of 10 lakh rupees. I would rather go to the base variant of a car price 10 to 20 lakhs rather than the top variant of a car price 6 to 10 lakhs. So, this was about 5 years back. Today, no. Today, I would buy a car price 6 to 10, the highest variant, rather than going in that top variant, because you don't want to compromise on features. You would compromise on the brand, you would compromise, but you will not compromise on the features.
Okay. I was remembering a Hindi poem, एंड विच सेड कि आजकल तो दिल मांगे मोर का जमाना है, एक नहीं सब हसरतें एक साथ पाने का अफसाना है. Does it sum up the word?
Definitely, sir. I'll give you another example. Dash cam. I mean, just see people want to record their movements. So dash cam in a car. I mean, for a person like me who's 53, would feel, yeah, why do you want it? But and again in a smaller car, yeah, I want a dash cam because I want to really take the, and everybody has a camera. Connectivity. Everybody has a mobile phone. They are using Google Maps, but they still want connectivity. So my point is, you are seeing an extension of yourself in the car, and you do not want to compromise on anything.
So the thing I want to ask is, one is clearly aspirations, the global world is changing, you're impacted by various things, the younger generation is coming in, but I'm talking of two things, price,
Right.
and then affordability. Today, financing is playing a role, and financing was seen as sinful, that अगर आपने पैसा उधार लिया है, तो मतलब जल्दी से either लो मत उधार या you return this thing. Is there this change as far as this is concerned?
You want an honest answer? No. Because last 10 years, financing has been there. If you see, okay, I can understand 1990 to 2005 you're talking about, but 2010 to 2022, financing, nothing has changed. 75-80% cars were financed in 2010 to 12, 15, and now also it's like that. So it's about aspiration, not about affordability.
Okay.
So I think affordability, if affordability was the issue, post-COVID, when incomes have reduced, you would have seen an impact. But what is it you are seeing? And it is not only limited to cars. Yesterday I was reading about televisions. Just see the top-end televisions costing 2 lakh rupees, 3 lakhs rupees are seeing a boom. So you do not want to compromise. I think, sir, one thing which has also happened in the last 3 years is, in COVID times, one big change has happened. That you live only once.
Kal ho na ho.
Kal ho na ho, number one. Number two, you have become much more affiliated to your family. You have realized the importance of the family. You feel that all the members of the family should be given the convenience. I see that people are, they want that, okay, I want ventilated seats, co-passenger as well, rear seats as well. I want all the four, I want seat belts, all the 3 seat belts at the rear. You are really thinking about the family. I think this is another very big factor which has happened, that you are becoming more and more responsible, and you want everybody to be comfortable, which means a bigger car, a safer car, a feature-rich car.
If you look at the incomes, they have grown. I have no two opinion on that. But the way incomes have grown, and if you look at the way people are jumping to the next level of vehicles or adding features, somehow that is still overstretching the income growth. So are people spending recklessly, or are they shifting their funds from some other products or categories to cars? What is your perception?
Yeah, I would say that, you don't want to compromise. So you would rather not buy 5 things. You will buy 2 things, but those 2 things you will not compromise on any. You will want everything to be done. You want a mobile phone which is like the latest. You want a car which is safe, which has space, which has features, which has technology. So you will rather cut down on so many other things, which is okay. And saving propensity, probably because, like I said, a big change has happened. Okay, pehle we were all about saving has to be this. I think now you're living much more than, of course, saving will always remain as a DNA of India. But I think with more and more youngsters coming in, you want to really spend. And you want to spend quality, you want to live the life to the full. That is a very big change, especially after COVID.
Now, coming to government regulations, a lot of people say, and there's a school of thought that India people still don't consider safety as a place where to pay price on. It is driven by a lot of government regulations, whether it's seat belts, airbags, the crash test which is there. So from a customer perspective, so one is the fancy elements which are, touch, feel, you talk of sunroof, you talk of Bose system, and other is features which are, you can say, hidden inside the product, they don't really are visible. From your perspective, is there this equation between safety and price? Is it driven by only government regulation, or there is a change of mind in customers?
If you would ask me 4 years back, answer would have been driven by government regulations. Today, no more. Today, when in Exter, when we launched the 6 airbags, that is one thing which has got the maximum appreciation, not only by the media, but by the customers as well. So I think a big change is happening. Safety as a buying decision, as a key purchasing factor, is really going up and up, and customers are willing to pay. Very, very clearly that big shift is happening because you do not want to compromise on the safety. Like I said, probably again COVID has something to do with it because that behavior has changed. No, I want a car which is safe. I want a car which has airbags. I want a car, I don't want to compromise on that aspect.
There's certain stereotyping in the industry.
Right.
People feel people in North are more flashy, more in the face, whereas people in South are solid, conservative, they don't like to flash. Now, this change of aspiration, it would have risen everywhere, I'm not saying it would have risen South. Is it more driven by North or it's become pan-India?
No, pan-India. Frankly speaking, there are two different aspects. Flashy, or I want it, but I don't think car is about flashy alone because the aspirations are no less. In fact, you please find out, all these sales of all these televisions and all, Tamil Nadu and all are a very, very big markets. So, you will have everything. Yes, you are probably simple, but that does not mean that your aspiration dying. Only thing is, you don't want to really show it off. Number one. Number two, I think with all that migration happening, and today that difference also I think is slowly reducing. And very clearly, I have been in this industry for 30 years, and I can see that those big gaps, like earlier, the service ratios were much higher in South than in North. Because people would rather go to, maybe non-authorized workshops or blah, blah, blah in North, but no more. I think more and more people are understanding the effect and the impact of, going to the authorized stations, getting factory-fitted accessories, getting features which are factory-fitted rather than getting it from the market. This whole business of kind of big, although frankly speaking, globalization and deglobalization, there's an entirely different thing happening. From globalization now, probably the world is moving towards deglobalization. But as far as India is concerned, South, West, North, East, I have seen the differences only reducing, not going up.
So it's more pan-India.
Very clearly, the effects are pan-India rather than big differences in across it. There are differences. Like for example, Kerala, still small cars. People want small cars.
That could also due to the topography of the place.
Probably,
or the
yes.
roading also too.
But then, if suppose the gap was, say 20% earlier, probably it has reduced to 5% now. I think those are the changes which are happening.
Okay. Also, in terms of, there's one school of thought is that, we may say that people are moving up, everybody aspires for car, but if you look at the CAGR growth rates, I mean, if you look at the last 10 years in numbers, I'm not talking value. Value is a different story. That speed of from 90 to 2000, 2000 to 10, the growth rate, it has slowed down dramatically.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to play the devil's advocate, is this entire concept of moving up the value chain, better models, better features, more safer, is it hindering, hampering the concept of motorization?
So three things. One is that, yes, definitely data says that growth rates have reduced. So if you see last 5 years CAGR or last 10 years CAGR is about 3.5%. But CAGR also has an issue. The issue of CAGR is it takes the first year and the last year. So last year is 2022, which was the highest ever year. At the same time, 18, 19, 20, 21, because of various reasons, the market did not grow. 18 to 19, 19 to 20. So very clearly, hopefully CAGRs will improve going forward. But at the same time, there is no denying the fact that unless your, less than 10 lakh segment expands in a country like India, the volumes cannot continue to grow at 10% and 9%, which we used to see. So when I was say 92 to 2000 or 2000 to 2010, whenever we'll find the CAGR, it will be 8%, 9%. Very easily, it was always there. And we used to, in fact, have a formula also. Okay, CAGR would be 1.5% of GDP, or growth rate would be 1.5% of GDP. So while GDP has been going up, but CAGR is not really going up. So clearly, because the pyramid is always much more bigger at the base, and it narrows down. So if we are moving up, and the contribution of the lower segment is reducing, definitely it will have an overall impact on the volumes. There is no denying the fact.
I'm just trying to understand where are the customers going.
So customers are also going to pre-owned cars. If you see even in the pre-owned car segment, what I see is the demand for i20s and Cretas is much higher than the say Santros or the smaller cars. So even a customer who is looking for, suppose he has a budget of 5 lakhs or 6 lakhs, he still wants a better car, he wants a safer car, and he's okay with a pre-owned car. Also, this has to do with better pre-owned cars, because now pre-owned cars come with a warranty, they come with free services, and you know that yes, car has a good life because the technology has improved. So this is another thing which is definitely
That's an interesting aspect, that people are going for pre-owned vehicles also, and you can buy a higher vehicle at a lower price.
Also because the price is continuously going up. So pre-owned car becomes a much more attractive proposition for somebody who only has 5 or 6 lakh rupees in his pocket, rather than compromising and going for a smaller new car.
So let's take a snapshot of today. And everything seems to be hunky-dory as far as passenger vehicles is concerned. Most of the time, if you compare other segments, two-wheelers, commercial vehicles, they have not all done all that well, although commercial vehicle is improving. Point of view. How do you see, I mean, dil mange more, it's being driven. Where do you go from here?
No, we are still at 33 per thousand car
Yeah, I'm talking
penetration.
penetration, but I'm talking in terms of aspirations. Where does it go?
Yeah. So aspiration will continue to go up. If you see, number of dollar millennials in India is continuously going up hugely. So not only the aspiration, but also the income levels are going up. Also, the more and more cars are coming up. You see the luxury segment. I mean, everybody is talking about growth rates of 30%, 35%. EVs are going up. So it is also a question of availability. It's also a question of India becoming such an important market. I think India was the 4th biggest market. India was the 5th biggest economy, tipped to become 3rd biggest by 2027. So things are really going for it. Everybody knows that we are a young country, we're an aspirational country, and the per capita income is also going up from $2,600 to probably $3,700. So everything is going for us. Also, if you see relatively, I think relative position of India versus the others is only improving. So I think all those things will fuel this.
I'll have a rapid fire round with you. And my rapid fire round question to you is, we want both the eggs, कहते हैं दोनों हाथ में लड्डू चाहिए हमें, which is there. We want the market to grow and we want the premiumization which is happening to do, which is a fact of reality of life which has to do. If this has to happen, market to grow and premiumization to also continue going or be at that pace, what are 2 things industry should do and 2 things government should do?
No, sir, frankly, beyond industry and government.
Now, let's talk about industry government first.
I understand, but as a country, please understand, as a country, we are automatically going that path because of the younger population, because of the aspirational population. Frankly speaking, I think both industry and the government are doing a pretty good job. Government in terms of really creating an opportunity and an environment where you can really do good business, where the general growth is happening. Because car is directly proportional to the GDP, car is directly proportional to the employability, car is directly proportional to the income levels. All these things are going up, then nobody can stop us, number one. The second aspect is if more and more features are coming in, more and more global car manufacturers with the global models are coming up, which clearly means customers will have a more choice. And because the general environment is such that whether it is clothes, whether it is shoes, whether it is hotels, everywhere you see the premiumization. So I think you are now used to premiumization. When you are used to premiumization, I think there is no other way but then premiumization.
So it's an unstoppable force.
I think so, it's an unstoppable force.
But you want the volumes also to go up?
So volumes, like I said, because the demographics is such that even कहते हैं ना उसको कि कम भी होगा तो कितना कम होगा. Even in the worst situation, we are still at 3.5%, which is still double of what the global industry is doing. So I think.
So you are saying our penetrations are still low. Our country is developing at a faster pace. Incomes are rising.
And roads and road infrastructure. Just see the road infrastructure. So today, I mean, you can reach anywhere to anywhere so far.
It's not one factor. There are a number of factors which are driving it. And this concept, what we say premium, is becoming mass. They used to read in economics, the luxuries of today will become the necessity comforts of tomorrow.
Absolutely.
That is what is happening.
I think car industry is a great example of this.
Coming to the last part of it, let's do some crystal gazing. And we are sitting in 2023 and we try to think what will happen in 2028. And we'll record it and we'll seek for posterity's sake after 5 years. What do you think will change in this entire journey of premiumization?
So look, one thing which will change is, of course, electric vehicles, I think, will really come in. And that will be a totally different game altogether. Because premiumization, when you say, I feel another round of electric vehicles will reset the clock as well.
At the moment, somehow it's not working.
Because somehow, if you see, it's more about people who want, again, more fuel efficiency.
Okay.
From that aspect, people are that is why you see more and more affordable EVs, really coming into the India. So I feel a little bit of a reset of the clock will happen with electrification, where again, because those factors could become important, charging. So I think this is one very important factor which will. So it's not an unabated growth. You will see, okay, premiumization. Nothing happens like that. Even in economics, when you see the graph, nothing goes like this. They always say it will go like this. So a big trigger has already happened. And I think people will keep on aspiring for more. But like I said, this will bring in a new perspective where maybe people's, and this is still an evolving market, we will still understand what would people want in an electric car. How many, will there still be say 100, 150 models, or probably there will be 70 models only, 60 models only. I think another big change is in the offing. You talked about 28. This is something which we must keep an eye on, because today it's like this. When the stock market is going up, you ask anybody, oh, now it will, Sensex will reach 100,000 in 3 years. When it is going down, oh, it will reach 20,000 now.
So they always, recency factor is an important part.
We as veterans of the auto industry always know that, again, the graph will always have changes and some disruptions will come in. And I believe electric vehicles will be a big disruption, probably which will change the dynamics somewhat. And let's see how it goes. What will become more important? Whether features, whether design, whether safety, whether charging infrastructure, whether the range. So I think we are in for some interesting time.
Last question. We believe that India has its own course, own journey, own dreams and aspirations. Any learning from the global market or any insight from the global market which you think will come into the Indian market in the next 4 years, beyond electric?
Like I said, frankly, probably India has been following the global trends. If you see SUV trend, it came first in the global markets, and now we are at 47, 48%, very, very clearly following that. Hatches, premium hatches, then it caught up, and then it caught up in India. So I think I cannot really again put a lid to it, but electrification is something which I think will be the next big thing in India. Today the penetration is 2.5%, but it has doubled over last year. We launched the Ioniq 5 this year. Frankly speaking, we thought that we'll sell some 400 vehicles a year, and in 5 months we had sold 500 vehicles. So very clearly, electrification is the next big thing, if you ask me about following from the global footsteps, which is going to happen.
So shape of things to come. Clearly the aspirations in terms of technology, in terms of features will continue, but electrification could be the big game changer if you get it right in this country.
Absolutely.
So it's a pleasure talking to Tarun. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
It's been always insightful to talking to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.